page launched today. Before any file was opened, the page itself was the first finding. The interstellar object currently transiting our solar system is not mentioned. Not in the text, not in the slideshow, not in the imagery, not once. This is the portal, a Sentinel Network investigation. At the direction of President Trump, the Department of War published the first tranche of declassified UAP records today. 17 pages. Imagery, photographs, sketches, and document scans. Drawn from the FBI, NASA, the Air Force, the Army, and INDOPACOM. Dating from 1972 to 2026. A coordinated interagency effort. The White House, the Pentagon, NASA, the FBI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. The institution did not call it a release. The institution called it PURSUE. PURSUE stands for Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters. Set that next to AARO. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office is named for what it does. The acronym is descriptive. PURSUE is a verb, an active one. The 7-word phrase reads as if the words were chosen to fit the acronym, not the other way around. This is a marketing decision, not a bureaucratic one. Project Blue Book was descriptive. Project Sign was descriptive. SATIP, AAWSAP, AARO, Gremlin, all descriptive. PURSUE is the first UAP institutional brand the federal government has deployed as a verb. The institution wanted readers to feel an active chase. That feeling is the product. The portal is explicit about what is and is not in the release. The materials are unresolved cases. The directive page states the government is unable to make a definitive determination. AARO has consistently maintained that most UAP cases resolve to prosaic explanations. Balloons, birds, drones, satellites, optical artifacts. By AARO's own historical reporting, the resolved pile is the larger pile. PURSUE excludes it. What does that exclusion accomplish? Anything where the institution has invested in a narrative is outside the scope of this release. Cases closed by institutional decision are not here. The release captures only the residual. Cases where the institution has already conceded the data is too thin to support any conclusion. The release schedule is now codified as official policy. Rolling tranches every few weeks. An indefinite timeline. Compare that to the historical baseline. The Project Blue Book records released in the 1970s were a single declassification event with a defined endpoint. The April 2025 National Archives release was a single drop. PURSUE is the first UAP release of the modern era, designed as a perpetual stream. Perpetual streams keep the news cycle open without ever delivering a closing chapter. The institution controls pace. Pace controls narrative. 3. I-Atlas is the interstellar object now in active transit through the inner solar system. It is not mentioned anywhere on the portal, not in the directive text, not in the slideshow, not in the imagery captions, not in the agency tags applied to the 17 released items. The institutional UAP disclosure architecture has been silent throughout the 3 I-Atlas transit. PURSUE continues that silence. The omission is itself the data point. At the bottom of the portal page, a single outbound link sits under the heading Learn More. It points to aaro.mil. If PURSUE were the canonical destination for federal UAP records going forward, AARO would route to it, not the other way around. The architecture of the page itself acknowledges that AARO remains the underlying records portal. PURSUE is a marketing surface positioned in front of it. That is not a transparency expansion. That is a representation of an existing destination with new paint. Within hours of the release, 3 named figures publicly framed the rollout as a distraction operation. Representative Tim Burchett told Joe Rogan the timing pointed to the Iran conflict as the more probable driver. Representative Thomas Massey called the rollout the ultimate weapon of mass distraction. Sean Kirkpatrick, the former director of AARO, dismissed the release as a shiny object. 3 figures: pro-disclosure congressional advocacy, libertarian skepticism, former senior institutional intelligence leadership. Same conclusion, same day. The convergence is itself a structural finding. The 17 files are downloading. Each will be hashed for integrity. Each will be parsed for metadata. Each will be cross-referenced against the attrition roster, the program name index, and the 12-layer suppression gradient. Until the analysis publishes, the portal is the artifact. The acronym is the brand. The scope is restricted. The schedule is rolling. The interstellar object in active transit is not mentioned. The marketing surface routes back to the existing portal. That is what the institution chose to publish. Here is the Sentinel Network's assessment. 5 structural choices. Each one constrains what this release can disclose. An acronym chosen for theater rather than function. A scope restricted to cases the institution has already conceded as unresolved. A perpetual release schedule that keeps the cycle open without ever closing it. A silence on the interstellar object in active transit. A marketing page that routes traffic back to the existing portal. The release was a portal. The portal was a product. We will read the files. We will report what we find. The full briefing is on Substack. Link in the description. Keep looking up.